Welcome to Finding Yourself Podcast. It's your host, Brittany, aka Barbie Sosa, and this is episode 3 of Finding Yourself Podcast. And today we are going to talk about being a slave to fear. I'm going to give you 3 points to help you cope with this season of your life, and I'm just going to give my perspective of what I had to do and overcome so that I wouldn't be a slave to fear. Okay, guys. So the first thing you have to do is understand you gotta pray. I felt like every time I wanted to do something that was out of the ordinary, I would pray about it. I would ask God to go before me, to guide me, to provide me with the resources and the opportunities if that is something that he wanted me to do. If it was, especially when it came to moving, having to leave my family, going to a place where I have pretty much nobody, no kind of support, but just trusting that this is what God wanted me to do. And this is what he called me to do. So I'm like, Lord, you want me to move to Houston? You gonna have to help me. I need a job, I need a house, like I need everything. I'm willing to give up everything. But you're gonna have to show me. You're gonna have to work with me. So once I finally made up my mind to move to Houston, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I think this is so important for people to understand. You have to have a plan, but understand that there are going to be times where things are going to go wrong with your plan. So, I moved to Houston. I was living with my dad for a few months, me and Maya. I had a job. I think it was 3 months, I was able to go ahead and get me a place. I had my apartment. And I was working, but I wasn't making a lot of money, y'all. And at that time, did I have a car? I think I had Kia old Yukon at that time. But, I moved and I thought this was going to be so much better for me. And it was a struggle. My first year in Houston was definitely a struggle. I really had to, have faith in God and trust the process. It was so overwhelming. It's I had a job, I had a house. I couldn't even afford to put groceries in my house. I only made enough to pay the bills. And I remember, one day I went to my dad's house, because I would go to my dad's house to eat because I couldn't afford groceries. Just couldn't afford, my bills and stuff like that. And I remember one day I was went to my dad's house, and I was sitting at the table, and I was so overwhelmed. I was discouraged. And I looked at my daughter and I just bust out crying. I felt like a failure. As a mother, it's I moved her to give her a better opportunity, and here I am struggling. But I refused to go back to what was comfortable. So I cried in my daddy's living room, and I was like, something got to change. Lord, you're going to have to do something. I can't keep living like this. So at that time, I was a CNA. I had been a CNA for 5 years. And I guess I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I had started filling out applications for jobs I wasn't even qualified for. Literally, I was not even qualified for these jobs. And I got a call one day, and it was CVS Pharmacy. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, can you come in for an interview? I was like, okay. And I went in. I was just very transparent with him. I was very honest. I have no pharmacy experience. I don't even have a pharmacy technician license. I don't even have a pharmacy technician trainee license. And when I tell you, because this man saw my heart and saw the favor of God on me, he gave me the job as a pharmacy technician, showed me how to get my pharmacy technician trainee license. My pharmacist and my coworkers helped me study for a year and a half to take my test. It provided me so much support. I was making more money than I was making as a CNA. Started to be able to breathe, and this is all from me just being willing to trust that whatever God is doing is going to work out for me. So I went from being a CNA to being a pharmacy technician. I still went from not being able to put groceries in my house to having more than enough. I was able to, and on top of that, it was only me because at that time he was incarcerated. So I was having to do what I had to do. So I was taking like a split shift. So they created a schedule for me to allow me to go pick up Maya from school, to take her to school. And when I worked the weekends, they let me bring her to work with me. So her and my coworkers' daughter would be in the break room, they snacks, they phones, and I was able to bring her to work with me. So it made it so much easier for me to work and not have to worry about where my daughter gonna go or who gonna pick her up and things like that. So they were able to work with me, and I thank God for that. That really allowed me to become who I am, because I got my pharmacy technician license. I was able to get a better job, make more money, just gain more experience, and now I'm worth a lot of money because I've worked in every part of the pharmacy. Every part. I have my IV certification, my compound certification, my chemo certification. I've done insurance, prior authorizations. I've done it all. And I thank God for the opportunity, but I had to be obedient, and I had to not not have fear of the unknown, because this was something totally new for me. But I trusted God. So I feel like the first thing you have to do is fully trust God and just ask him, hey, if this is something that you want me to do, or if you feel like this is something I need to do, please go before me and guide my footsteps and give me the tools and resources to be successful. And when times get hard, allow me to lean on you and your word and your understanding so that I can press towards the mark. Because fear will have you sitting still. Become a slave to fear, you'll be scared to do anything. So that's my first point, is making sure you're praying and asking God for clarity with your decision making first. Second, you have to be careful. Like, this is so big. You guys have to be careful. You have to be careful with who you're talking to and what you're talking to them about, right? How can you expect somebody to encourage you, to be there for you, to push you to be out of your comfort zone, to do something that you're afraid of doing, when they are a slave to fear? A lot of times people will project their insecurities on you, like, girl, I wouldn't be doing that, or you sure you want to do that, or what if this happened, or what if this happened? And it causes a level of doubt. And I just think that you have to understand that that is so damaging to your goals and your dreams. And like, you just being able, sometimes you don't know until you know, and you have to experience, you have to go, you have to try to do whatever it is that you feel like you've been called to do. And if you allow somebody to talk you down, then God's going to get that vision to somebody else, and you're going to miss your mark. And what people don't understand is your opportunity is this big, and victory loves company. So sometimes people will intentionally talk you out of things so that you can stay with them, so that you can be right there with them and be a slave to fear. Be okay with not being okay. And I had to learn it. So I learned, I'm like, if I feel like God is calling me to do something, I'm going to do it. I don't care what nobody think. I don't care how nobody feel. I don't care if it don't work out. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to do my part. And I'm gonna try. I'm gonna see what's going on. I'm gonna see what it's hidden for. Because at the end of the day, everybody got a story to tell. Everybody got to write their own story. So what works for you may not work for me. And I understand sometimes it is some concerns that you need to be aware of. There is some things that you need to factor in. But overall, a lot of things you don't know until you try. And nothing beats a failure but a try. And a lot of times people will be like, girl, I wouldn't be doing it, or you always moving here, there, wherever. I don't care. I will pack up my child, I will pack up this house, and I will go wherever I feel like God is calling me to go. I'll deal with it when I get there. But I'm gonna make sure I got a job, I'm gonna make sure I got a house, I'm gonna make sure my daughter got, a really good school. Like, I always did my due diligence and making sure that when I went, I knew what I was getting myself into as far as my daughter's school, work, having a house, and being able to maneuver, like learning the areas. And so, yeah, like I moved to Houston. I stayed in Houston for about 5 years, 5, 6 years, and then things wasn't going that good in my relationship or my marriage relationship. And I was like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go back home. So I packed up, went to Tyler, stayed in Tyler for a year, not feeling it. I had all these expectations of how things would be, and it was not like that at all. I felt like, oh, I'm moving closer to my family. I'll spend more time with my family. Like I would be around my nieces and nephews a lot more, and that was not the case. So I was like, what's the point of me being here if? And then I wanted to help take care of my grandmother too, and I moved. I think I moved like November 5th. She passed November 20th. So that was just a tragedy for me. So I was like, that was the main point of me moving, is to like help my older sister with my grandmother. But when I moved, she ended up passing that same month, and I was just like devastated. And then the next year, it was just so many things going on. My family took a lot of hits, and it just wasn't the same. And I was like, I can't be here in Tyler. I just felt like I couldn't make no money like I needed to make. So as soon as my lease was up, I packed up and came back to Houston. And best decision I could have ever made, even though it didn't make sense to other people. Like, why are you moving back and forth, back and forth? But I moved back and got my job transferred with me. And when I moved, like, I was on it popping. Like, I came back to Houston with my mind made up. Like, I was coming. If it was to be had, I was gonna get it. And I thrived when I came back. I thrived. I changed a lot of things about me. That one year of moving showed me a lot of things. It showed me people only love you when you're beneficial. It showed me that you are wanting to change. Your change can be uncomfortable to people, and they don't really care to be around you. I had to learn to be alone and be okay with it. It was so many things I learned in that year. So when I came into Houston, I was thriving. I didn't really care about getting up with people that I was getting up with before I left. It was, if I got up with you, I got up with you. That was that, but that was not my priority or my main focus. And I had to learn, like, I had to be better for myself, for my daughter, or I was gonna find myself in the same situation. And so, yeah, I came back to Houston and I thrived, but thank God, like, I didn't let people talk me out of doing what I feel like God was calling me to do. So point 2 is being careful with who you talk to and what you talk to them about, because people will talk you out of your dreams. People will talk you out of things because they are afraid to move and they are living in fear of the unknown. But you have to go and write your own story. Experience is the best teacher. You don't know until you know. So that was my second point, is don't let people put your insecurities on you, because they scared to move and don't want to do things. Don't mean you're doing anything wrong. Okay. And then I would say my third point would be, when it comes to no longer being a slave to fear, is making sure that you are comfortable with who you are and that you are transparent about who you are. Because there's going to be times where you're going to go in a room where people will pull your card. People will talk about things that you used to do. People will talk about things that may make you uncomfortable. People may talk about things that they feel could be embarrassing to you. People could ask you questions about people you used to deal with and where you used to be at. And I think that when it comes to being a slave to fear, you can't worry about what people think. You cannot worry about how people feel. You can't worry about any of those things. Like, I'm the type of person, when I walk into the room, the last thing I think about is, ooh, what they think about me or what they're gonna say when I leave. I don't care. And in order for you to be free and really live your life, you have to not care about it. You're not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. That's just a fact. You're not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. Everybody's not gonna like you. Everybody's not gonna care for you. And That's just me being honest. No matter how good of a person you are, no matter what you do, there are gonna just be people that don't care for you. And you gotta be okay with this. So when I walk into the room, I control the room. That's just me. And I don't be worried about what nobody's saying about me. I don't be worried about how nobody feel about me. I don't be worried about none of that. I go in that room and I do what I came to do and I leave. And I think so often people always feel like, oh, I don't belong, or people will make you feel like you don't belong somewhere. And you have just as much of a right to be in that room as they do. And you have to understand that. But if you are living in fear, then you will let your social anxiety get the best of you. You will let all these things, like overthinking, you'll let all these things contribute to you making a decision based on other people when you are qualified, or you have the tools and resources, or you know God has called you to do something. Like, you have to understand, like, I'd rather be, because people gonna talk about you regardless, child. They're gonna talk about you like a dog. You have to be okay with it. Like, I'm so cool. Like, people can say that once they ever me. Like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that because everybody got their own issues, their own problems. So who are you to sit here and say anything about me? I might sit here and take a man back that's cheating on me 1,000 times, but you're sitting here degrading yourself for a man's attention. Like, everybody got their own thing, and you cannot worry about people. You cannot get caught up in what people think, how people feel, because at the end of the day, when they all boils down, they're gonna, if they have to choose between you and themselves, they're gonna always choose them. So why are you so hell bent on people and worried about people and what people gotta say, what people think, and what people feel? Who cares? Who cares? Like, literally, this hat and this don't even match. I don't care, child. This is real, raw, and uncut. Like, this real, raw, and uncut. Y'all know how it is when you ain't lay that wig right and you having to hurry up and just do something. This the vibe. This the vibe. And I just think that people gotta start doing what they feel like they need to do. Stop asking for permission to do what God has called you to do. I don't know who needs to hear that. Again, stop asking other people for permission to do what God has called you to do. He didn't give a vision to them, he gave it to you. So, yeah, so you guys gotta understand that. So in order to no longer be a slave to fear, you have to, one, pray and ask God for guidance, clarity, help you with your decision making, go before you, guide your footsteps, provide you tools and resources, right? So that you can be successful and thrive. So he can help you maneuver the unknown. Two, you have to understand that when you need to move, you gotta move. You gotta understand that sometimes things are just not gonna make sense, and you have to go. You have to be careful who you're talking to, why you're talking to them, and what you're talking to them about, because people will project their insecurities on you and talk you out of your blessings. So, first point, pray, guidance, clarity, give you discernment, help you with the tools and resources to overcome. Two, you can't talk to everybody about everything. Just don't need to. Sometimes you just gotta do it. Okay? Third point is you have to stop caring about people and what people think and how people feel. Period. You have to, because you will be in the same situation if you keep on worrying about people. You keep on letting people tell you what they will and won't do. Everybody say that until it's time to do it, or until you're in that situation. So I'm the type of person, like, I had to learn, I don't live life on life terms. I make life live life on my terms. I don't go by the rules, I create my own. Anytime I go into any environment, I set the tone. I don't conform to anything. Nothing outside of the word of God. Other than that, I ain't going for it. And it's nothing wrong with you thinking outside the box. Just because they say, oh, you can only do it this way, or hey, you should do it this way, you go in the left lane. What's gonna happen if I go in the right lane? And sometimes when you're just doing what somebody tell you, or you just going with the flow and you're following in behind other people, you find yourself in situations that you could really maneuver around. And I've learned that I don't do what everybody else do, because that ain't the only way to do things. And I've learned my way of living life. I create my own rules. I create my own atmosphere. Like, I do my own thing. But I'm successful and I thrive, and it works for me. I guess because of my personality, my energy, my charisma. And I'm a hard worker. I'm responsible. I'm dedicated. Like, I have integrity. Like, so I'm able to do whatever I want to do, how I want to do it, pretty much, because I'm good. You can't run around with this confidence and you don't know what you're doing. I'm confident because I know for a fact that I'm going to make it work. It's going to work out for my better being. And whatever I'm doing is going to be good, and it's going to be innovative, and it's going to be effective. I look at facts over feelings. When my supervisor tells me to do something, I want to know why. Because if it doesn't make any sense to me, then I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it the way I feel like it makes sense. And 9 times out of 10, God has given me a gift where I can see things, and my problem solving skills is off the chain. My critical thinking is off the chain, and I can analyze something, and I can come up with a way more effective way to do the task and cut down the time. Like, you gotta start asking questions. Stop just doing what people tell you to do. Why? Why am I doing it? Because you might have a better way of doing it. So, yep, it's your girl Barbie Sosa. This is episode 3 of Finding Yourself podcast, and we talked about no longer being a slave to fear, being able to rise up, take some chances, take some risks, live your life, write your story. I don't want to be the person that's 80, 90 years old and regret that I didn't do this, regret that I didn't say that, regret. I don't want to live my life with any regret. And the only way for you to do or know, you have to just do it, right? The only way for you to know is to just do it. You have to do it, people. Okay? Just do it. And we'll see what happens after that. Yeah, I need to get my hair done. But yeah, so that's how I feel about being a slave of fear. I feel like you have to rise up. You have to stop doubting yourself. You have to believe in yourself. Stop worrying about people, what people think. And know that God is going to work it out. He always do, y'all. He always do. Y'all, episode 3 is in the bag. I don't know what we're going to talk about for episode 4, but I just thank God for the opportunity. I thank God for this platform. I'm praying that I'm able to help somebody. I'm able to encourage somebody, because everybody needs something to hold on to, right? Everybody is just trying to be the better version of themselves, and it takes a person like me. I am real raw, uncut, no makeup, wig half through on, baby. Shout out to my people, the Supply Room. It's a place here in Houston, on the north side of Houston. Amazing people, amazing services. Establishment as well. And he gave me this merchandise. And yeah, so this is just me. This is me, real raw, uncut. I'm not gonna get on here and act like I'm something that I'm not. I'm not gonna not talk about things because it may trigger me or make me feel a certain type of way. I am here. I am willing to help somebody. I want to encourage people. I want people to see, like, everybody think that people got it all together, but it was a lot of, I took a lot of L's to get where I'm at. Y'all, something in my face. It's bothering me. But I took a lot of L's to get where I'm at. And that's why I am able to walk in my full truth and be confident, because I've been through hell and hot water, and it didn't kill me. It did not break me. And I think that we have to understand that. Thank God we don't look like what we've been through. And y'all see, I fixed the smoke detector so it's not beeping. Praise God for that. And yeah, it's your girl Barry Sosa.